and Major Hector Quintanilla is now the chief of Project Blue Book. Major Quintanilla, what are the objectives of Project Blue Book?
As I'm standing there, I kind of, it's a very hard feeling to describe. Skinny arms, skinny legs, but I could only see about half of this thing.
It was just an eye-opening experience. There was a ship coming over the house.
It was like a white light sort of thing that we saw. It was coming out of a cloud.
ASDP researcher John Dickinson in Tennessee. You're watching Alien Strand with Donald Ledesma.
Welcome to this episode of Alien Strand Podcast. I'm your host, Don Ledesma, and welcome to today's show. Man, it's going to be a good one. We decided to talk about some UAP news, number two, right? So I'm going to have a special guest on today. Mr. Terry Lynch is going to be on today. We're going to be out there just kind of giving you some new updates of what's happening. Now, if you just saw the trailer for part 3 of The Middle, well, guess what? I just finished the editing on everything already on that film. So, it's still not finalized all the way, but I did get a really good ways on the film. Now, you know, it's always hard to get these films. It just takes forever in editing, man. I'm telling you. I tell everybody, I can't express it as much. For every 1 minute that you're seeing on film, it usually takes an editor about 4 hours to get that 1 minute. Coloring and all that good stuff that comes along with it, right? But hey, that's just what comes with the job. So let's see who we have out there. Zayden Palacio says hello. We are live on X. We are live on YouTube. We are live on Facebook. Yes, Facebook, we are live. And I do own rights to all this music, all right? So don't be doing that crap to me anymore. That's why I have to write it every time. I swear to God. But no, we're going to talk about a lot of good stuff. We're going to show you some UFO videos. We're going to show some UAP photos that we've been putting up on Alien Strand Disclosure Project. If you're not part of that, please join that. Like I said, follow us on X, YouTube, Twitter, all that good stuff. We are live actually on Spreaker on the audio, and after that it'll go to Spotify, iHeartRadio, and 28 other platforms, man, that you can listen to these podcasts and go back and listen to it. Now, if you're listening to it live right now, I appreciate you guys that are driving, truck drivers, anybody, doctors, anybody that's out there that's listening on the road. Y'all be careful on the road. Keep your eyes in the sky. Remember, pull over where it's safe to do so, and take your photo, take your picture, or have somebody do it for you if you have a passenger. Best advice I could ever give you, right? That's the way it should always be. All right, man. So I am fired up today because you know why? We haven't done this in a while. I've been just kind of busy doing a lot of different things, and plus my regular job. Hey, man, everybody has one, right? I know you do too. So if you didn't catch my podcast, Subconscious Manifestations, manifesting. It glitched on me. I didn't realize it had did that. I am going to redo this again. It's out on Patreon if you want to listen to it. I will redo it again. And there was so much I wanted to tell you guys. It's deep. If you can sit through it, but I'm redoing it, okay? But my bad. I didn't realize that had happened to it until after it was already done. I figured I did a good job, and I was like, all right, man, everybody should listen to this, and it happens, right? So anyway, the Middle Tetralogy, we have part 1, part 2, and then guess what? Part 3's done for me almost. So I'm letting some special people do the preview special screening on part 3. Actually, tonight they're going to be able to watch that part 3 tonight. If you haven't seen part 2, go to our other channel on Skylight One on Facebook. Go check it out, or I'll put links to it on this podcast. And go check out part 2. You have to. And if you haven't seen part 1, go look for it on Tubi TV, Amazon. It's all over the place. And we got to clear some stuff up on part 1. Me and Terry are going to do tonight. But just thank you guys for watching these films. It takes a lot of work to do them, but we're trying to get all the information out to you too. Like I said, the middle part 2 is on Vimeo, on Skylight One channel. Go look for it there. And, we appreciate all you guys that have signed up and have been sponsors and all kinds of that good stuff. So, hey, man, we're going to be looking for sponsors. We need sponsors. We need some sponsors. If you own a business out there, right? If you want to be part of this show, give me a holler. I'll give you a great deal on everything. And if you have a coffee, a store, anything that you have on your business, you want to get it out there, give me a holler, and you can be a sponsor of that. Or if you want to be a sponsor of our film, we have 3 more films that are going to be coming out. We're going out this year. We're going on top of a bunch of mountains. We're going all over the place. I'm even going to Devil's Tower. So get ready for that. If you want your business on that film, hey, let me know, and we'll talk about it, all right? So don't forget to join us on Alien Strand Disclosure Project, because there's no I in team. We're all here to work together as one, all right? We all do this as a big, nice team. Oh man, we got so many people all over the world. You just saw right now, and then Tennessee, everywhere Australia, the United Kingdom, Africa. There's people from everywhere that are actually help sponsor Alien Strand Disclosure Project, because they're representatives. South Carolina, North Carolina, Florida, everywhere, man. Even here in Texas, of course. And everybody just loves doing that, because they love to help, right? Without further ado, let's go ahead and get Mr. Terry Lynch on, and let's talk about some UFOs, right? Because this is what today's about, UFO news, and let's go ahead and talk about it, all right? So here we go. All right.
Hello from the middle of Oregon.
All right, brother. How you been? I haven't talked to you in a while.
Well, I've been busy. I've been trying to get my CDL, and I'm getting there, man. All I've got left now is to take the driving test, and it's a visual inspection.
Good for you.
Of the vehicle.
Right on. Good for
and
you.
once I have those 2 down, I've already got my permits, so I'm allowed to drive, and I also got a class 10, so I can transport up to 10 people in like vans and Suburbans and whatnot for the
Nice.
for the place that I work. I'm not gonna go into where it is that I work. I'm not exactly sure what the rules are.
Right.
So I won't go into where I'm going to be working, but I will say I'll be operating some pretty heavy equipment.
I was actually a bus driver myself for 9 years. That's where I started. I started doing bus driving. My dad got me into it, and I did it for 9 years. I was like, you know what? Okay, I got to be an over-the-road trucker. So I became an over-the-road trucker after that. So I get it. It's a hard thing to get into. But let's talk a little bit about the Cascadia guides, man. We haven't talked about the guides in a while. And your area up there, of course. Do you still have snow on top of Paulina Peak up there?
At the moment, yeah, we do. There's probably about I'd say about 8 to 10 feet of snow on top.
Okay.
I've still got snow that's melting off finally in my yard. Last couple of weeks we've had snowstorms hit, and there was it last week we had about 10 inches of snow fall in our area, And then, of course, it warmed right back up, and that turns into water and ice and all kinds of fun things for us to try and drive and get around the area in. And well, I'm just real grateful that we have a guy. Everybody's got to have a guy. We got the guy that comes in and plows our driveway, which is an extremely long driveway.
Right on. Good.
So yeah, it's been a real. It seems like winter extended out just a little bit, and I was real grateful that today we had to get up earlier.
Yeah, yeah, right. We lost an hour, but you know what? I enjoy it because now we got a little bit more sunlight, right? I love to be out in the sun, especially. I mean, don't ask me that in July or August because I'm going to say no. Bring the winter back, but it's just because it's my profession, what I do. As far as that, now let's. So you were talking to me about people had got some kind of story misconstrued about the Cascadia guides, where they're at, and the mountain ranges, things like that. So can you kind of explain exactly what you found and what somebody was saying out there?
Yeah, we had one of the reviews on the movie. I don't remember exactly where I found it, but I did find it, and it was they were talking about how we didn't have any kind of backing on this, how this occurred, how these occurred. They were covered up by ash when Paulina Peak had its last eruption, and that's what spit out the big obsidian flow that's right on top of Paulina Peak.
Right.
And it goes right down to the Paulina Lake and East Lake. So when this spit up, it put a bunch of ash up in the air, and it covered the entire top of the guides there, where you see where me and my team, Oregon Ufology, there, we're standing above the guides.
I took that. I took that photo, by the way.
You sure did. You took that picture, and we. What happened was mass wasting. It's snow gets on top there. I just told you that there's 8 to 10 feet of snow on top of that spot right now.
Right.
And what happens is it grabs onto the particles and it washes off and it pulls away, and it exposed the Cascadia guides, a large trident, and a spear.
Right.
So this is how this thing came to resurface. Now there was the same person that said there was no science backing it. Well, that's called mass wasting. That is called science, and that's geology.
Right.
The next portion is that same individual has stated that it was not between Mount Adams and Mount Shasta.
Okay.
Well, if you look at the two maps that are over to the side here, you can see that clearly. One is 173 miles away from Paulina Peak, and that would be, I believe that one is Mount Adams, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, Mount Adams is 173 miles away, and Mount Shasta is 174 miles away.
Right.
Now, if I would have went up there, if I would have used the, it's a on Google, it's like maps, but Google World.
Yes.
You can actually run a straight line, and I'm willing to bet they're probably even closer than a mile.
Yeah.
If you were to run the straight line to this and particular location.
Well, on the top of that location, when we were up there, you can see both peaks of both mountains. I mean, so
yep.
I mean,
you can. They're off in the distance. You can see Mount Shasta off in the distance in California,
right.
And you can see Mount Adams off in the distance in Washington State. This person was trying to say that the center was Mount Jefferson, which, I mean, I can drive to Bend and I get really great pictures with my Nikons. Just again, I want to make sure everybody knows that. Okay, I'm wearing my harness. I've got a harness that I can carry my cameras with, and I can go up and take pictures with these guys right here under my coat, and then I've also got this guy right here, which is. This is a 3,000 millimeter, 24 by 3,000 millimeter Nikon. And from the top, I can zoom in on Mount Shasta and Mount Adams.
Right.
And I carry enough cameras to be able to catch evidence as it's coming.
Right.
Okay. I'm trying to prove a point here to they were also critiquing us for how happy I was to see you with a Sony. That was another thing that they were trying to do. This person obviously doesn't have any cameras, or if they do have cameras, they don't realize that when I'm talking about my Nikons, I love my Nikons,
Right.
but Sony does have a little bit better processor and makes things a little clearer. That's all I was trying to say in that movie.
Right.
Is that I was really glad that you showed up with the equipment that you have, because it gives a little bit clearer picture.
Exactly.
And
well,
you
I
know,
mean, if you can have a Nikon, you can have a Sony, you can have, I mean, an Olympus, you can have anything really in reality.
Canon,
yeah. Everything has an amazing processor, but sometimes people out there, you know, like I've always said before, mostly a lot of people love the Titanic. You're going to get one or two that's going to hate the Titanic movie, right? And they're going to find little things to knock it out. You know, they're trolls, brother. That's what they are, basically.
Well, I know exactly what they are. You got to expect it. I know I expect it whenever I go out there. There's always somebody that wants to say this isn't right, that's not cool.
Right.
These guys in that movie, we had video proof of things falling right out of the sky, going right over the top of the guides, and one of them turning up on end and lighting up.
Right.
This is how we knew. This is exactly how we knew that this belonged to them.
And
okay.
And let's I mean, and then you've had a lot of activity over that area over the guides, right? Since we made the movie, right? And then
it was last week. Last week, somebody, it wasn't me. I shared it. I shared it out to the world.
Right.
But in our local, this is it. If anybody wants to check it out, what's really happening in La Pine is the Facebook group that they shared. Somebody had grabbed a picture, captured a craft as it was off in the skyline, and they were able to get it just underneath a telephone wire.
Yes.
As they were taking this picture, and I did the filtration on it. And when I was done doing the filtration on it, I sent it back to them, and I put it out in our groups, and I showed our area is still very active.
Yes, it is.
Okay, it's nonstop activity here. Is what we have.
It is.
We just need to be able to have a warmer day so I can get out there and set my tripods up, and not be at about 26 degrees.
Right. Well, speaking of live or UFOs that are flying by, let's go ahead and show this video. I have a video of this craft. I shared it today on our TikTok. If you don't know us, follow us on TikTok. We just look for Alien Strand. You'll find us there. And there's this craft that's flying, and it's in a straight hover, right? And within this hover, there's two drones underneath. I call them drones. They're spheres. Spheres that we see in the sky all over the place. They're trying to reattach underneath this craft. Now, once we see this, the video, you'll know what I'm talking about. So here goes. Let's watch this real quick. Here we go. You see that?
Oh, yeah.
So
it's got a couple spheres.
Now, it keeps going up and around. Now, this thing is not really moving. It's the camera movement. They got it zoomed in so hard. Some people are saying it's a balloon, but look at how they're separating, and they're trying to come back and reattach. It might be balloon. I mean, I don't. It doesn't look to me.
No, that looks like a actual craft with spheres. A lot of the time, the spheres accompany these craft. They send them out to go observe different things, and they come back to the craft. They got their own little jobs that they go do and come back to the craft. And that's exactly what you've got here. It's like a saucer type craft with what looks like maybe 3 to 4 spheres.
Right.
And we also see those spheres underneath, and I've always called them wow, I just had a flicker here. We've always called them like as if it was a drone type thing, but underneath, when they're underneath the craft and they're installed, we also call them amplifiers, underneath the craft to help the craft so it can move at full speed and go
Right.
to different locations.
Right.
So usually when you see a craft that's sitting still, which I believe this is what's going on, they're just moving the camera around. When it's sitting still, the craft itself is doing what's called quantum locking, and it's locking itself fixed to the Earth by magnetic flux tubes. And so it can sit there, and then those things can go out and do their observations of whatever they need to do. They come back, reattach, and bam, now they can propel.
Now my thing right here I'm slowing it down. I'm stopping it as you're talking, but if this was balloons, okay, now all the balloons would be kind of doing something kind of crazy. You know what I mean? Like all over this thing, right? And all you see is these three on the very right at the very end. And then you see one at the very bottom below the craft start coming out. And then it goes back in.
Right.
It's kind of hard to tell because it's at a distance. But me personally, if it was a windy day, if there were a bunch of balloons kind of stuck together, I believe that they all would have been, kind of going out in like a flowery sort of shape. All the balloons, kind of doing that. To me, it's just kind of strange as somebody recorded this, and it was almost like at a standstill. You know what I mean? It's the camera that's moving. It's not this thing that's moving.
Right. Well, I'm also seeing something else here that I can't help but to notice every time I look at it. I'm going to put some... Yeah, I'm seeing a distortion around the outside of the craft as well.
Yeah.
There's definitely a distortion. It actually looks like it's just a little bit lighter around the craft,
Right.
The blue sky. You can see a little bit lighter around it. Now, if we were to put this to, I'm certain that if we put this to filtration, we would see the EMF, or I call it EMFF, electromagnetic flux field. I think that we would be able to see it clearly with filtration.
Yeah,
it's also something that you see on all of them. That flux field is a flux field basket that holds it into place
right.
and removes the mass.
Right.
That's exactly how quantum levitation works. Is it creates a flux field basket around the superconductive, and it removes the mass, which means there's no weight now to it because it's being held by a flux tube basket.
Right.
And you can. I just put a thing out on ASDP showing how the levitation works, and they put an orange on top of it, and
Right.
it stayed within the magnetic flux field and the cushions which were holding it in place.
Right.
And it removes the mass of the weight,
Right.
and as if it didn't exist.
Well, let's talk about another one. Now, these were some photos.
Okay.
Let me give you the backstory on this one. So it says a UFO captured by a friend of mine from Canada last night. She insisted to remain anonymous. So I'm not going to give too much detail, but it was over an overpopulated area in Canada, and it just hovered in the same spot around 20 minutes before disappearing. I have the video, but I'm not going to release them without her permission. UFOs are not even trying to hide from us anymore. Says the report sightings we got are getting more and more every day, with the spike this last month. So in Canada, they're getting a lot of UFO sightings. And it says, do you think that they are getting ready to reveal themselves to us? And what's the end game after the cat's out of the bag, right? So this is what this person did. Because I saw one of the photos, the one with the white around it, you can see it there. It was actually part of the video. They just kind of got a still frame from it. What do you make of this, Terry? I mean, it's...
Well, I would absolutely like to hear the video, see if there's a low tone or hum.
Right.
You did view the video. I would be curious. Did you hear that?
No. They haven't
like the sound of.
They haven't released the video yet. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So when we get this, we'll try and listen for the D1 sharp.
Exactly.
The low tone. Especially when they're hovering above. That was their ancient signal of we're here.
Yeah, in Canada too, so I know.
Yeah,
I get a lot of people from Canada actually contact me, some that they have really, really close encounters, like literally really close. I had one, but she disappeared on me. I haven't heard from her like in 2 years, but her and her husband used to get some really good photos out there in Quebec. And they were out in the outskirts in the forestry area, and man, the pictures she would send me were just kind of remarkable how close these things were to her home. And so when I saw this, I kind of like, wow, we're starting to get more from Canada. So I definitely, I'm going to put these under some filters. And maybe we can probably get a little closer. It's hard to tell because there's a lot of fog in the sky, and it's but on one of the photos you can tell it's got a saucer sort of shape on it once you zoom in a little closer to it. I just wasn't able to do that on this presentation.
Well, the federal government, our Air Force and the Canadian Air Force, they work together on anything that might come into either one of our territories.
Right.
We have a lot of stuff going on, like when the balloon from China was coming over,
right,
and it was kind of hovering there between the two countries. Both sides were very interested in trying to stop this thing from being where it was at.
Exactly.
Well, about a week after that, they had another one that was up in the Yukon territory, and it was an FA-18 that shot it down.
Right.
And they clearly said that they had location of it. They said they know exactly where it landed, or was where it had gone down. And they were saying that it was a metal object, and it was not a balloon. And this kind of leads into where the government's going to today.
Right.
They're starting to kind of change their tone about what's up there. They're trying to bring it back to the point where we're going to be searching for disclosure again.
Exactly.
They give it to us. They give us disclosure. They say that, okay, we've got all these things. The Navy's been chasing around down on the Pacific, down in the Atlantic, both off of California and Florida coastlines. They say that they're chasing things over across Arizona. And then a lot of people are seeing these things being chased across the skyline by the military. I have a neighbor that he's across from me. He owns a place down in the Valley, Portland area. And I won't give his name, but the location's right around Portland. Vernonia is the name of the town.
Right.
And he got a picture of about 10 spheres going across the skyline. Wow. They were all orange, fire in the sky. I call them fire in the sky. They look like a campfire, basically floating past you. They're not moving extremely fast, but they are moving fast enough. And then he ended up with, he said there was a bunch of helicopters that were chasing after it.
Yeah.
Shortly after.
Wow.
And this is where we're at. The government, they put out all these different things saying, if you see this, now go ahead and report it. We're not going to shun you. And they were talking to aircraft pilots for Southwestern. They're talking, all those guys, American Airlines. They're talking to Alaskan Airlines. They're telling them, go ahead and report all this stuff now.
Right.
We've got a place for you to report. But then now all of a sudden, the last few days, they've been pulling away from all of that.
Wow.
Now they're trying to say that it's not extraterrestrial. We don't know what it is, but it's not extraterrestrial, and we've not seen an extraterrestrial. When we've got other people saying, yes, we do.
Right.
We do have it, and they had verification. They worked for the government, and now all of a sudden they're trying to go back to covering it up.
Well, there's an article that just came out today, I believe. Let me read a little bit to you. I'm just going to, I don't know if I can throw it on the screen here. But
Okay.
it says the Pentagon UFO report says most sightings of ordinary objects and phenomena. So it says they haven't seen as many since World War II, but they still found no evidence of technology that has concluded most sightings to misidentify ordinary objects. Right? It says the report released in 2022, Pentagon announced that it's newly formed a domain anomaly called AARL. Had not found any evidence that suggests the aliens have visited Earth or crashed here, right? So, come on, man.
They're trying to change your story, is what they're doing here.
Exactly.
Now, and I gotta agree. I don't believe that they're. I believe that they're actually terrestrial anyway, because I think that they're. If you listen to anything I've said in the past, I believe that every one of these volcanoes is a hive, and they live inside.
Right.
And I have, we've seen these things coming out of the earth. We have video proof of them coming out of volcanoes,
right.
All the way from the Cascades all the way down to Mexico.
Exactly.
We've got craft going in and out of these volcanoes, and there's no one can say that they're not, because we have the video proof.
Oh yeah,
we have ufologists.
Yeah,
we have ufologists around the world.
Yeah,
that are bringing these recordings to light.
Exactly. Over there in Mexico, that we always talk about that Popocatépetl. That it's constantly, almost every day, catching a UFO going in and out of that volcano. Almost daily now, and then I just posted one today. As a matter of fact, there's one where it looks like an explosion above it, above this,
mm-hmm.
and then it just kind of takes off. Right. Speaking of that, now speaking of other countries, I'm going to show you this other video. This one is out of, I believe, China. I'm not sure, but we'll find out. I think it does say it on there. So let's go ahead and bring this up on screen. Hi, Rosie. Thank you for being watching out there. She's Rosie Marie's out there. Paul Welburn, thank you. Other people, I can't see your names. Zayden Palacios, thank you for watching out there. A lot more folks are watching. We still got a lot more to talk about. So here's this video that this object was recorded with a cell phone above nuclear power plant south of China in Hebei, Lunan, China, in September of 2011. So I caught this kind of as interesting. I didn't know if it was, CGI-ish kind of thing or not. And it's kind of hard to tell for me now these days, right? It does have that little drone that's around there and that's going around it, around this diamond-shaped craft. Now, people that are listening that are not watching tonight, there's a diamond-shaped craft and another smaller diamond shape going around in circles as it's over this power plant. It doesn't look like I don't know if it looked nuclear. Did it look nuclear to you there, Terry?
Yeah, that looks like a nuclear, the big cone, the cooler system that they would have. Yeah, it definitely looks like they're observing a power plant. That's the same type of coolers that they had out at 3 Mile Island.
Right.
So you're definitely looking at. We had Trojan here in Oregon, and it was removed, but it looked also just like that cone that's sitting there.
Yeah.
However, that diamond craft, that you put that down on the ground, you got yourself a pyramid.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm willing to bet. Yeah, I'm willing to bet. See, here's the way I see it is, how every year we get a new type of car, we get a new type of motorcycle. These people, I'm going to call them people because they, Homo sapiens, we have eyes, we have hands like this, and we can do things, and we are human.
Right.
And they have a human appearance themselves, but they're whatever they are, wherever they come from, whatever they are. They probably don't even call themselves what we call them. However, they do the same thing we do. They've got the new car, they got the old car. Sometimes you'll see a craft that looks like something that was from the 60s that people had seen in the 60s, and you'll see it today. Well,
Right.
you know, you go out to some place where they're showing off the new or old cars at a car show. Everybody's driving their old car,
Right.
you know,
Right.
and it's just as simple. Some people might have an old car that's their daily driver,
That's true.
you know.
That is
So
true.
what I'm saying here is you might see the old flying saucer go by that they've seen way back in the day, or what the government used to call Foo Fighter, the spheres.
Right.
Those spheres that that you see underneath the UFO, like we had on earlier. That's exactly what the federal government called a Foo Fighter. I've seen anything from what looks like rocks and obsidian flying through the sky, or jasper flying through the sky. That, you know, it could be just about anything that they figured out that they could take and put and make it levitate and operate.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
there was a Russian guy. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he had shown that if you take the hard shell of the beetle,
Oh,
and you
yeah.
put them together, one will levitate. You know, one side of it will levitate.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he had taken all of these hard shells and he'd put them underneath the standing platform, and he was able to take off, direct it, fly it, and he has video of it.
Yeah.
Or it was 8mm film of it is
Yeah.
what the world could see.
I saw
And
that.
you can actually look this up. Yeah, you can
Yeah.
look it up on YouTube. I mean, it's right there on YouTube for you to go and see it and verify what I'm saying.
All right. Well, let's.
It's ancient technology, and it's all we did was we're overcomplicating things.
right.
I think we're overcomplicating it. I think that we could do everything that they're doing if we dumb down a little or smarten up, whichever way you want to call it.
Well, I mean, we're still the zoo. Like Joe Rogan says, you know, it's like, he goes, we're the zoo, man. He goes, it's just now, if he goes, they just got new footage of an orangutan or an ape kind of using a spear to go fishing to get a fish. Where did they learn that from? Right. So in other words, they're learning. They're still behind us, but they're learning, and we're learning from them as far as watching, right? We're watching as these things are happening, and how is that happening? How does it work? You know, how does that propulsion system work, right? We've got the basic propeller thing doing, you know, we did that, you know, and then we had the
Jet propulsion
right,
as well.
which is the German scientists. They're the ones that made it first. We got it now. Now everybody's using jets now, and then of course we're still using that same kind of propulsion in a sense to rocket ourselves up into space and go to Mars, the moon, or wherever, right? But yet, we still can't get as close to get to that same propulsion system that they have, which Bob Lazar talked about. You know, the element 115, moscovium, right? What you talked about. You know, and we
as 115 is also called ununatanium.
Yes.
It's a double un on it, and it's ununatanium, which would be the natural form of it. Moscovium was the one that they. I'm sorry for interrupting, but
It's okay.
I just happened to study a little bit on this one. Ununatanium was what they found at the crash site, and they brought back to Area 51, and that's what they were using. Ununatanium is the natural form of it. Moscovium. What happened was they took the moscovium and they did a bombardment, radioactive bombardment on it. It's called the smoke test, is what they call it.
Right.
And you can during the smoke test, you can also look all this up. When they do the smoke test, what happens is it has almost instantly the moscovium, its lifespan ended almost instantly. But it did do the levitation. It created its own gravitational field, and it created its own gravity, and it also became buoyant, like for levitation. Okay, and it but it was instant. Its lifespan was almost. This was Russia's way of trying to hide ununatanium. Now, ununatanium had a much longer lifespan, and that's the one that when they raided Bob Lazar's house, that's what they were looking for. They thought that he had grabbed some of that material when he was working at S4.
That's exactly.
S4 is where he was working out at. It's called Papoose Lake, out by Groom Lake. They're two separate facilities. Oh, here's a couple.
So
there you go.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about this one here. So this one I recently posted here about 5 days ago on Alien Strand Disclosure Project. So this was I'm going to give you the backstory on this. It says these photos are from a dog walker that saw this object skimming across the farmland in the UK in 2020. It says the person says that it was skimming back and forth and stopped in intervals, then it vanished into the air. It says, and during that time, it irritated his normally on the dog. In other words, the dog kind of weirded out. It says on getting home, they had a closer look at the photo to see what looked like something that sat in it. It says it had to be noticed that it had the same shape of a UFO like seen in the 1960s, right? So this is the actual photo that they took, and if you kind of look close, it almost looks like you can see something inside on the right.
The pilot,
right, of the pilot that's sitting inside of this craft, right? And this was caught in 2020. And the similarities that they're talking about are these right here. So if you look at this photograph was taken by Bell Baldwin, a Melbourne resident who wishes to remain anonymous. It already said his name right. Shortly before the Westfall school sighting in April of 1966. So if you look at it, it has the similarities of that same kind of shape of craft, right? What are your thoughts about that, Jerry?
Well, that's exactly what I was saying earlier. Is sometimes you like your classic car, you want to take out your classic car, you want to use it. Same thing with them. They might have this craft sitting wherever they're at, we like to call them bases, but it could be very similar to our homes, our neighborhoods and things like that they live in.
Right. Or
again, I call it a hive myself because they look very similar to insectoid.
Wow.
That's where I kind of look at this as they're like a very large, intelligent insect, like a large mantis or something to that effect. They've got the same kind of eyes. They've got the same kind of movement. These craft, I also want to also say that craft like this, they all move in geometry. They're not like doing a big corner to go around you. They go boom, boom, boom.
Right.
They come to a stop and they turn.
Right on.
And that's when they're using their counterweight and they're throwing it down to the ground. The Earth itself is mostly magnetite. So to throw this thing down to the ground of magnetic flux and it'll lock on it, bam, they turn just on a dime. And it doesn't matter if they're over the ocean. It doesn't matter if they're over land. It doesn't matter how high up they are. They've got this type of technology that is, in a sense, far more superior than ours. And it doesn't make much noise. If it does make any noise, it's a low hum. Like we were saying earlier.
I mean, look at the shape of it, though.
They're almost identical. Yeah, these crafts are almost identical.
Well, this is the same craft, though. They just kind of got a little.
Right.
They got it they lightened it up, and I guess they were trying to get a really zoom on these two photos.
How many years difference is this? How many years difference is this from 1966 to now?
Let's see. It was in 2020. So yeah, man, that's 60 years.
Yeah, that's a good chunk of time right there.
Yep.
And they're using the same technology because it outclasses our stuff.
Right.
Their oldest stuff is better than our newest stuff.
Well, I mean, it's lasted this long. Look at both of those crafts. It just kind of tilted sideways in that 1966 photo, but it just canning resemblance on both of them, really, in reality.
Yeah, it's dead on is what we got here.
Yeah. So,
I mean, it could very well be the same thing.
yeah.
There's other stuff in the sky that looks a lot like the Nazi bell. I don't know if you've seen much footage on that, but every once in a while, we'll get craft that look just like the Nazi bell.
Yes.
And that tells me that they were fully in contact. That government of Germany and Hitler and all those guys, that they were fully in contact with something. My little bit of research that I did manage to do on that told me that they went to like Nepal, up into the mountains up in there, and the monks that were up there put them in contact with the things that lived inside the earth.
Yeah.
Again, and they had a general that was up there with a squadron of his guys, and they were introduced. They all sat down as friends, and they were introduced to these inner earth. These monks were protectors of them.
Yeah.
And they went inside, and they came back with technologies. And we hear all the time about stuff going off in Antarctica. Well, this is the area where they had their biggest research was down there.
Exactly.
Think about what was his name, Admiral Byrd.
Yeah.
He went down there, and he had the same kind of contact.
I believe there was another guy too, another general. I don't know who. I forgot. I can't remember his name right off the bat, but I know there was another guy too, Byrd, and there was another guy that both almost had the same kind of similar accounts of UFOs or something different that happened in that same section of where it happened, apparently, that we can't see, right? But speaking of that, now we got one more video. This one's going to come out of Colorado Springs, from our very own William Rathbun, which is going to be on our third film, The Middle Part 3. So he got this...
Great ufologist. Yes. This guy's a good ufologist.
When I was at his house, when we were filming him, he showed me a bunch of videos that he had. He couldn't do it because he was an OSD card that he was using off of his TV. But, man, he had some great still shots of a lot of stuff. It was hard for him to send it to me because, the technology savvy. It's kind of hard to, when people are not used to doing things with our technology, So he's got it, and it was great, and I should have grabbed it from him when I was there, kind of put it on my SD card, but I didn't. But anyway, let's go ahead and show this video real quick that he filmed out there. So there it is right there. It's kind of slowed down a little bit, but you'll see it pop up of a. Let me see if it'll pop up there. You can see it on screen.
There you go. Yeah.
There it is.
There it is.
So yeah, he's actually shooting at an afternoon sky. Sun's going down, and he catches this craft just floating right in front of him. And it's probably looped a couple of times, and there you go. He likes to slow the footage down a little bit so we can see it a little bit better. But he posted that, and I was kind of intrigued by it. I know we're so used to looking at these elaborate UFOs, that we're so used to seeing all the time. But just because some people see a dot in the sky doesn't mean it's not any better. I think they are really good because it's original photos, original video. It's something that they caught at that moment. And even though they're moving around a little bit, you can hear them breathing in the background. It's original, man. And it's not so elaborated. That's why it's kind of hard to tell from these newer videos of if it's AI or not, right? And that's the hardest part for us as ufologists, to have to try to debunk that, stuff that people throw out there as far as AI. Now, this is not AI. This is exactly what he caught out there. And I just thought it was interesting.
He lives a few miles away from where Nikolai Tesla put his laboratory. The things that are in the sky around where he's at. There was one day. This was 5 years ago. I've been following his work for a while. But about 5 years ago, he put something out and he showed it was a whole bunch of different craft that were above him, and the bottom of the craft looked identical to. You guys remember the Roswell stone, a rock?
Yeah.
It was a rock that had a very specific design on it, and then over in England, years before or years after that, was it after or before? It was after. Years after that, there was a crop circle that looked identical to that Roswell rock. The Roswell rock didn't come up till a few years after that was found in England.
Right.
And the craft that he was showing, the bottom of the craft as they were going up and moving around, looked identical to that figurine on the rock and the crop circle. I firmly believe that that's some type of fleet, and that's their insignia, and that's what their craft look like. So he had some really good captures. Literally somewhere in my archive, I have a big archive of all this stuff. I have his capture of that, and he probably has it somewhere as well. I don't know how much of his stuff he keeps or lets go, but I try and hang on to everything that I have received over the years.
Right.
He was one of the first ufologists I'd run across. We didn't really talk much back then, but again, he's another one I recommended to you.
Yes.
There's several of these guys that almost every one of your movies and films, these are people that I'd run across over the span of 5 to 6 years, and seeing all these different things that they've had to produce. Every one of these ufologists you put into these movies, they have a great story. They have great evidence. And some of them, they do it differently than the others. You'll end up with people out there that tell you, no, this is the only way. No, it's not the only way. You can't, I don't mean to try and smash on like MUFON, because they came up with a rule book.
Right.
But they can take their rule book and throw it to the side. None of us are experts. Not one of us. Not me. Not anybody. Yeah. I don't claim to be an expert. What I am is I am a citizen ufologist, and I have a lot of friends around the world that are also citizen ufologists. We have a better understanding because we deal with it on a more of a regular basis than the average person.
Exactly.
That's exactly where we stand. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the sheriff's department will come up and ask me questions because they don't understand what they just saw. So they know to come talk to me. If they happen to have a picture of it, we can discuss it, and I can explain the fundamentals of what we're looking at. Okay. Some of us have gone a little farther. We've studied a little bit of physics. I'm not a physicist. I'm not a geologist, but I understand some physics and I understand some geology.
Right.
And this is what it is. I'm not claiming to be an expert on anything here, but I am claiming that I know a little better than the average person.
Well, all right. Well, let me finish. We're going to end this podcast here. I'm just going to read the last article here on this Pentagon read that was out there, and it says under the 2023 National Defense Authorization, AARO was required to issue a report to Congress dealing with the government's historical record relating to unidentified anomalous phenomenon, right? Since 1945. It says it was delivered at the first 2 volumes to Congress. Press Secretary Major General Pat Ryder, in the statement which they released, unclassified, AAR found no evidence to that any ASG investigation, academic sponsor research, or official review panel has confirmed that the sightings of UAPs represented extraterrestrial technology. The report for executive summary said, although many UAP reports remain unsolved or unidentified, AARO assesses that it is more better the quality data we're available. It says most of these cases also could be identified and resolved as ordinary objects or phenomena, he says. The report says since 1945, the government has funded investigations to determine whether UAPs represented a flight risk, technologies to leap into competitive nations, on evidence of off-world technology or under intelligent control, right? So basically, UFOs are.
They're trying to go back to covering it up.
Yeah, it's the same crap over and over and over. So, and as much news as they try to put out here towards UFOs, UAPs, and all that good stuff, it's the only people that are really going to know is us and citizen ufologists, because we're going to keep putting it out there to all of you guys. Because if you're part of Alien Strand Disclosure Project or any other UFO research programs out there, be a part of it. Be part of the solution. Don't be a part of the problem, right? And as long as we all work together, we had to we had to boot somebody out of our ASDP website, our Facebook, because they were just trying to out show people, and they weren't working together. This person that was just newly came in, and hey, they started trolling. Bam, you're out. That's not going to work that way. If you don't work together, you don't need to be here, right? So if you're going to join ASDP, sure. Alien Strand Disclosure Project, we work as a team. We all work together. We all work as one, right? So just be sure when you do sign up for Alien Strand Disclosure Project that you do fill out the whole questionnaire. Don't leave no blanks, or you're going to get kicked out of it, and you're going to have to do it all over again. We are very serious about what we do, and we want everybody to come in. I don't care where you're from. I don't even care if you're an alien from another planet and you want to be part of ASDP. Hey, come on in, bring it in, because we all work together. So, we just try to make sure that we're putting the right information out there, because like these news articles that I just read to you, all they're doing is deflecting the truth of what exactly is happening out here. You just saw a few videos, you just saw some photos of the actual truth. So, that's all pretty much I can say about that. So, Terry, you got any closing things you want to say here real quick?
I do. I'm an Oregon ufologist, Terry Lynch, ASDP researcher, and I want to let everybody know that disclosure starts with your story and respect. This is our motto. This is what we do. Don't be afraid to come talk to us. We understand that if you've seen something and you want some people to talk to about what you've seen, but if you've been abducted or you've had any other type of experience, time loss, whatever, we have people there that can help you with the confusing questions that you might have, and we kind of band together around the world. 9 out of 10 times the government won't give you the respect. They'll try and tell you, here's the light, look at it, we're going to hit the button now. Yeah. And you didn't actually see what you think you saw. We're the group of people that actually saw the same thing that you've seen, and we're here again to respect what you have to say.
Exactly.
So come be part of ASDP, which is Alien Strand Disclosure Project. Looking forward to meeting every one of you.
All right, brother. Well, thank you for being on the show today, and thank you for your insights. And like I said, we'll see you on the next one. Probably next week we'll be having another one, but we're trying to get this third movie going, and part 2 as well. All right. So I appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, part 2. Everybody go see part 2. It's available. It's ready to go. Part 3. I'm going to get to review it tonight.
That's right. That's right. All right, brother. We'll talk to you here soon.
All right.
All right, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast. We hadn't done this in a while. I felt like we had to bring some news out to you guys and just kind of give you some updates on what's going on. So if you want to report a UFO, go to ASDP-UFO.com. Go over there, go check us out, or go to our sister page, alienstrand.com. If you want to be If you want to be a sponsor of the show, give me a holler. Hit me up on Instant Messenger or anything like that, email, and I'll be glad to help you because you'll be helping us at the same time. We all work together, all right? So until then, you guys give us a thumbs up, give us a heart, share this, go all over on our audio. Our audio is live right now. I know we're probably glitched a little bit today. I saw it kind of starting to, but, I really appreciate all you guys for sticking around and watching us today. We had some really good numbers I saw up there on screen. I appreciate all of you guys. We love you, and just keep on hanging in there with us and watch our films that are going to be coming out soon, because it's everything that I'm showing you, and I just showed you today, we showed you today, and everything that we're showing you on these movies and these films, it's documentaries, and it's things that happen to people on a daily basis, and it has issues that comes with it as well. Not everybody can accept this as it's happening to them, right? And that's what these films are about, to show you what's happening to them at the moment, or at the moment when they saw this. They're explaining everything to you on these films. So I hope you guys get to see them. Please go check them out on our Skylight One channel. But until then, you guys have yourselves a good day. Have yourselves a good evening. And have yourselves a good night. See you soon.